Hello and welcome to this video on aggregate demand. In this video we'll first have a look at what aggregate demand is. Secondly, we'll have a look at the diagram for aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is the relationship between quantity of real GDP demanded and the price level. To understand aggregate demand, we can go back to the circular flow of income, in which we've said that Y equals C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Y was the national income, and C plus I plus G plus X minus M is the total amounts of goods and services people plan to buy within an economy. C was consumer spending, I the investments, G government expenditure, and X minus M net exports. These four are called aggregate demand. So in line with the law of demand, which we've seen in microeconomics, the higher the price level, the smaller the quantity of real GDP demanded. If prices of goods and services rise, demand for these goods and services will fall. This is reflected in the diagram for aggregate demand. As the price level increases, real GDP will fall, which is shown by a shift along the curve. Please notice that in the diagram for aggregate demand we have price level, where in the demand curve it says price, and on the horizontal axis we have real GDP, where it says in a supply and demand curve quantity. Now, why does aggregate demand fall if price level increases? The first effect is the wealth effect. If there is an increase in price level, that means the real wealth decreases. With your real wealth, for example your savings, you can purchase less goods and services than you could before, as a consequence of the change in price level. There's also the substitution effect. If prices rise on the domestic market, that means that domestic products get more expensive relatively compared to prices on other international markets. That means consumers can import, which will have a negative effect on real GDP. As M increases, X minus M will decrease, which is a negative influence on aggregate demand. In the next video, we'll have a look at aggregate supply.